it looks like I mean, sounds like probably looks like it's Georgia. He's from Georgia. They've stayed in contact with him quite a bit, from what I understand. He went on a visit.
It's been. Again, I don't count anything 100% till they fax it in on Saturday, but this kind of been in the works for a while. There's a guy on Twitter. He's a USC fan. I think it's called Zoo Trojan or something. He's catching a lot of flack because when Justice Terry flipped from us to USC, he was like, "Oh, Riley owns the state of Georgia," and it was some guys that's kind of tapped in. I'm not that guy, but not like that anyway with recruiting. But it was some guys that tapped in, tried to tell them to hold his horses. But
yeah,
they said they didn't see this coming. Apparently, they said Justice Terry going to eventually decommit.
I keep hearing that too, and that was kind of the next question. Is it sounds like he's supposed to be now, and I saw on USG. Shout out to USCJ, but he put a video out and he said that Terry's supposed to be in LA this weekend on an official.
He will. Him and Elijah Griffin, Isaiah Gibson, and Justice Terry are the top 3 defensive players out of the state of Georgia. Of
course.
Elijah Griffin is crystal ball to Georgia, been a favorite. Again, you never know what he's going to do. But Justice Terry, when they interviewed him last week or 2 weeks, he was like, "Well, it's a marathon." You know what I'm saying? So
sure,
when kids start saying that kind of stuff, though, you don't want to hear that out of some of the, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, it's a marathon type deal. Like, USC, I think, had a couple of people shut it down. Oklahoma had a couple of commits shut it down. Georgia had a couple of commits shut it down. That's kind of what you want. I don't blame the kids, but
Well, with Oklahoma, Venables won't let you commit unless you're going to stay committed. He doesn't want you to commit. He's kept that as a hard and fast rule that you look. If you're going to be taking visits and doing stuff like that, then don't commit.
He got it. Like they did that they do that at Clemson too, and they did that when Brent Venables was there. Not many decommitted, but I want to say Robert Condici was one of them. He committed to Clemson, and then he decommitted because he wanted to go somewhere else, and that was the rules. Like, once you're committed, you're committed, and he decommitted, and then they lost him. So 90% of the time it works for him. So
it's worked out pretty well. Honestly, I think a lot of people at Oklahoma the first year were like, "What the freaking crap are you doing?" Don't do that. If they want to commit, let them commit, and he's stuck to it. It's worked out pretty well. I think initially you had let's see, you had the receiver from San Antonio area. What's his name? Oh man, I forget. Anthony. He's punt returning and stuff last year. He's pretty good, fast kid.
I think more so
where he went to school.
Yeah, I think more so you may lose out on guys towards the end if they haven't committed, for that kind of reason, because these kids, want to take all their visits. But for the most part, if it's working for you, you got to do what works for you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and this is where he's at with it, though, Coach. He doesn't tell you not to go on your visits. He wants you to take all your visits and all the time that you want. But once you make that commitment, then you're in. Right. You saw a lot of that with David Stone and those guys, Nigel Smith. He didn't want them to not visit, and they took all their visits. And so that was why you ended up getting them late. But it's, you might have a silent commit, that kind of stuff, but he doesn't want you to commit and do any of that kind of stuff to where it's, continuing to take visits and stuff like that,
Yeah.
And it's really worked out. Aside from Anthony, and then you had the kid that ended, he was a Texas legacy. I was surprised they ever got a commitment from him to begin with.
Right.
But then he ended up, after the Red River game, he had flipped.
Listen, man, even when Georgia gets commits from somebody who, even the guys that say they're locked in right now, like, hey, man, until they sign that, until I look on GeorgiaDogs.com on signing day and it has their picture on it, which means they faxed their stuff in.
You ain't wrong.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
you ain't wrong.
On
Especially
Twitter, I see
they're going to be dumping money in their lap at the last second. That's how Oklahoma ended up losing David Hicks.
Who's the guy that ended up at Mizzou, D lineman that you and I both thought was going to go to? Yeah. So it's like, and these people get on Twitter and they be like, "Oh, we just got this guy." Like, even with Isaiah Gibson decommitting, do I think he's going to end up at Georgia? Yeah, but I'm not going to go out there and be like, "Oh, we about to get Isaiah Gibson." Like, man, till that dude sign on Saturday, It's all up for grabs.
Oh, facts. No doubt about it.
It's a long time, though. It's a long time to December.
Exactly. And there's a lot of things that can happen. I think, and one of the things that that was one of the main topics that I was talking about, me and Shawty were talking about it the other night too. And I think I was talking about it with Jake Merrill on here the other day. But the thing about USC, and part of it, they canceled the series with Ole Miss Trojan fight. That rumor is a rumor coming out of USC because it was the AD that announced that from Ole Miss that they canceled it. So it wasn't Ole Miss that did it. Anyway, you've seen that, that he was trying for 2 years to get out of the LSU game. You've heard all these rumblings about getting out of the Notre Dame game. And you hadn't really heard it from him, but Colin Cowherd is his kind of mouthpiece in the major media because he loves him some USC and Lincoln Riley. Yeah, and so, he's out there pushing this, they don't need to be playing these guys. And to me, this just screams weak sauce, softness, whatever you want to call it. But here's the thing. And they're like, well, why do you need to do that for? And when you don't need to play those games to get into the tournament, you know what? Here's my thing on that. If you can't handle these games, what are you going to do when you get into the playoff?
But this is my thing. You had more of a case for it when it was just 4 teams because winning your conference didn't guarantee that you were going to get in. But now, if you win your conference, then you're guaranteed to be in if you're a P4 conference. Even the top G5 team is guaranteed to be in. So, like saying that, we played 9 conference games and we don't need to be playing these games. Okay, so let's say you take on LSU, Ole Miss, whoever it is for USC, and let's say you lose them. That's not guaranteed that you're going to lose, but let's say you lose them. You still just go win your conference. You know what I'm saying? It's like I did the Clemson video today. I was like, and people was like, well, Clemson's probably going to lose to Georgia. It has nothing to do with the ACC. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
And literally,
you can win your conference and it won't matter if Texas goes and gets beat by Michigan in the early part of the year, and they get through the conference season with no more than 2 losses. They can have 3 losses, be in the SEC championship game because they only had 2, and still get in.
You can still make the playoffs possibly if you don't win, but if you win, that's a guaranteed spot. So
Fact.
Playing out of
conference, guaranteed bye.
Right. So playing out of conference hard games, like not playing them, no. Like I would, like you said, if I'm gonna play, like right now, we got to play Clemson, and let's say I think Clemson's gonna win the ACC. So right now we get to see what Georgia looks like against what I think is the best team in the ACC. So should we make the playoffs and have to face that ACC team, which is probably going to be Clemson? If they beat Clemson, it'd be better. It's like we already know kind of how we stack up.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's just crazy to get rid of OOC games because of what you call the playoffs or playing 9 games when those games don't have really any effect on you making the playoffs unless you just don't believe you're going to win your conference. I guess if you don't believe you're going to win your conference, then I guess, don't take those games.
Yeah, and think about this. Now, Ryman Lemon says out of conference hard games will matter if you're a 3-loss wanting into the playoff and you didn't win it. Now, yes, it could be a double-edged sword there, but let's say you go and if you're Clemson, for instance, let's say they don't win the ACC. We're talking Clemson. Let's just keep it there.
Okay.
They don't win the ACC, but they play for the ACC championship. They end up with 3 losses. One of them is to Georgia, and they played within a touchdown of them.
That matters. That matters.
Of course it would matter. You're going to tell me that the committee would be like, oh, they suck. They got 3 losses in the ACC.
Yeah, and like you said, throwing the number 3 out there, that's not in the 12-team playoffs. Throwing a 3-loss team out there doesn't mean you're not going to make the playoffs. Every 3-loss team isn't equal. A 3-loss Big 12 team isn't going to be weighed the same as a 3-loss SEC team or a 3-loss Big 10 team.
Exactly.
Especially if one of those losses is out of conference. If Michigan loses to Texas, but goes on to like you said, play in the Big 10 championship, but lose to, say, Ohio State because they play them two times in a row, then they're going to be higher. They're going to be higher respected because they played Texas out of conference and lost a close game, but then played in the Big 10 championship. That's better than being 9-3 in the Big 12 and losing the Big 12 championship.
Facts. Facts. No, and that's why I think that a lot of these times we've been talking a lot about the Big 12. If you don't win that conference championship and you were 9-3, you're not getting in over a 9-3 SEC or Big 10 team. There's no damn way. Or even if you had a 9-3 Notre Dame team, they're going to put Notre Dame in.
Right. It matters. Like George. What's up, Coach?
What's up there, Coach? Welcome to the show, the Coach. What's up, my man? You out there camping?
Man, been camping, man. We spent the day with Micah Parsons of the Cowboys, and is a great day for my grandson.
Awesome, man. That sounds awesome. That sounds real cool. Micah Parsons, man.
And tomorrow we're going to do the Texas Tech camp.
All right, that's what's up.
Be careful about that, Coach. Might rub off on somebody, man. You might.
I was just about to say that about Micah Parsons. Don't let the delusion rub off on you. That dude, he knows a lot about football. I like to hear.
At least they take him to SC camp.
Him and CJ Stroud talk, man. Them dudes know a lot about ball.
Yeah, they do. What's up, Coach? Hey, Trojan fight. Bro, you could schedule your way out of the playoffs every year. This is exactly the kind of talk that you get out of Lincoln Riley. What are you talking about? This game that you're playing against LSU this year, first off, I don't think LSU's that good. I don't know that they're that good. They're going to have talent. They always have talent, and they may be better than SC. But if it's a neutral site game, if you can play that game close, and which you should be able to, because I don't know how much better they're going to be on defense than they were a year ago. They got to be a little bit better because it was historically bad. But this kind of talk right here, it wouldn't schedule you out of the playoffs if you're good enough for the playoff. But here's the point. If you're good enough for the playoff, you'll be in it. If you lose all these games and you play yourself out of the playoff, then why the hell would you think that you need to be in it? What do you think is going to happen when you get there? You're going to get freaking skull drug.
Well, I can tell you what's going to happen, because at Notre Dame we've been there before and gotten into the playoff, and we hadn't played a friggin' soul.
Oklahoma too.
Early in the season, and then we get there and we get our ass throttled, and so that's what Lincoln's looking for. But at the end of the day, you got to play the best to be the best.
Yeah.
And I know you got to be sensible with your schedule. I mean, you can't just load it up with every team, top 10, top 20 team. But you've got to put some of those games in there that are important, because if you don't, you're not tested. You don't have any idea.
I think a 9-conference game schedule with one OOC Power 4 and 2 G5s. I mean, what's wrong with that schedule?
That's perfect. That's
10.
A great
you got,
schedule.
you know what I'm saying? You got 10 P4 games, and you got, I don't care who the G5s are. They could be the lowest of the low for all I care. Highest of the high. But who cares? You got 10 Power 4 games on the schedule. And again, that if you worried about not winning your conference, then yeah, I guess don't schedule them. But I can tell you for sure that's not how Kirby thinks. Kirby thinks the SEC is hard. Winning the SEC is hard to win a national championship anyway. So he really doesn't care about the OOC. So he'll line them. We got them scheduled out to like 2034 or something like that. We had Texas and Oklahoma. They made us not play Oklahoma because we were coming into the same conference. They took, of course, Texas, being in the same conference. That came off, but we still
Oklahoma
of course,
had Georgia and Tennessee for this year.
Like there's one year coming up where we are playing like Clemson, Florida State, and we were supposed to play Texas in the same year. Now that Texas we still might be playing Texas, but Kirby's like he likes to see where his team is at. So.
Yeah, Trojan fight. Maine replaced Georgia on the schedule. Temple was a replacement for Tennessee, who was going to be on the schedule when they were still going to be in the Big 12. That was who they were going to play this year. Next year, they were going to play Michigan too. Nobody's ducking out of it. And I'm going to tell you another thing. All of these strength of schedule models that are out there, the majority of the SEC with 8 games as a conference schedule still have a tougher schedule than anybody else. Florida's got probably the toughest schedule in history.
Right. These at-large bids in this 12-team playoff model, strength of schedule couldn't have been more important. More important.
Absolutely. You have to have a good strength of schedule if you're not going to have a computer model.
Right.
Well, and I have a strength or a question for Trojan. Why y'all trying to get out of playing Notre Dame and LSU?
And now, they did cancel Ole Miss today. A home and home with Ole Miss today.
That was canceled today?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. So why are they doing that?
You want to know why?
I want Trojan to tell me.
I can't speak for the OC games, man, but I'm here to tell y'all, and this is my opinion, that you shouldn't even be talking about canceling the Notre Dame game, man. Like that's bananas to me. Bananas. Dog. I don't care if it ain't no conference game. USC Notre Dame is historic, and that the fact that this is a conversation, me and Jason had this convo, man, and I'm like, this is what makes me put the USC Notre Dame rivalry behind the top rivalries, because in those other top rivalries, for this one simple fact, Red River will, even if they wasn't the same conference, they would never talk about not having that game.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? They would. Ohio State, Michigan, I don't care who conference they in, they are playing each other.
Exactly.
And it's like, dog, you can't cancel the Notre Dame USC game, man. If that happens, man, I'm gonna really look down on USC as a program, dog.
Really bad. I mean, listen, this is you think about USC, these are the program that loves to talk about how they've never played an FCS. They're wanting to cancel all these games. Literally 100-year-old series with Notre Dame. One of the biggest rivalries in college football, and to me it is. I mean, I grew up watching Notre Dame. It's one of the biggest rivalries in college football that I could. I even go back to whenever I was covering as a reporter and stuff, and I could remember the years when all those years that SC was really good, the Bush push and all that other kind of stuff that happened. We're talking about Brady Quinn and those guys from Notre Dame. That was nasty football, great football, fun to watch. Why the hell would you want? And on top of that, Notre Dame right now, and it's a rivalry game. You don't know what could happen in a rivalry game, but Notre Dame right now is poised to make a run. If you play them well, you look good. Either way.
Absolutely.
And with the Lincoln Riley offense, you can play with anybody.
Trojan fight. I'm not saying having those two top 15 teams aren't hard, but you're wrong about that.
Come on, bro, that's not true.
Well, I would say you right technically, but Florida does play Florida State and Miami.
Sure does. And they also go on the road and play Texas on the road. They got to play Georgia, who's number one. There's
LSU, Tennessee.
two top 15 squads. LSU, Tennessee. Don't do that stuff.
And this is my thing.
The bottom line is the conference schedule in the SEC is so tough that you don't have to say anything about these 4 non-cons. If the SEC is going to go to 9 in 2 years because they don't want to lose all these rivalries. They are going to make ESPN pay for them, but they'll lose those rivalries yearly. You'll hurt the sport that way. You'll hurt the conference. Yeah. They don't want to lose some of these.
This is what I'll say too. I don't dislike Lincoln, at least not now. But this is what I will say the difference is. Since listen, man, and I'm up there age. We all are. Pete Carroll was known for saying we'll play anybody, anytime, anywhere, regardless.
Yep.
And to be on the other end of the spectrum now, that's not a good look, dog.
Not a good look.
Not a good look.
Yeah, when Pete Carroll is at Washington practice this past week, or during the spring, he was out there with the Washington kids. Ooh, that don't look good. He's
right. And Trojan Fight says Vandy, Florida, Kentucky, South Carolina, Mississippi State.
What are we talking about?
Okay. Listen, those teams. Well, Florida will be a little bit better too, but those other teams, I get it. But I'll raise you Maryland, Rutgers, Minnesota, Nebraska. When are the last time any of those teams been good? So I mean, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? Like, don't try to justify your schedule by calling out some of the weaker teams in the SEC because you have some weaker Big Ten teams on your schedule.
And I'll tell you something else about Missouri that he brought up. He's talking about Missouri. They're going to have this, and they do have a light SEC schedule with the light non-con. But you know what? They're going to have to, if they get in the playoff, they will have beaten Oklahoma, and they will probably have beaten Alabama, which, that should take care of itself. You're not going to end up with a trash SEC team in the playoff. I can promise you that. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. You've got an easier schedule. Look, and the other thing, SC's not playing Oregon or Ohio State, the two best teams in the Big Ten. What are we talking about? You got to quit talking. You got to quit talking, bro. You just make yourself worse every time.
I know what I'm talking about. Trojans still hadn't answered my question. Talks a lot of other crap, but still hadn't answered my question.
Ask it one more time.
Why does USC want to drop Notre Dame and some of these other teams, LSU? Why do they not want to play? From your perspective.
It's a good question, Coach.
Please do answer. But I've got one. I've got an answer. I mean, that's just.
I got one too. He ain't gonna like my answer though.
Can y'all see that good? Can y'all see what that says? That's why.
I can't see it. What did it say?
Soft as baby shit. That's why. And this easier path to the playoffs, Coach. Why would you do that? Maryland just blew out Auburn. What are we talking about? We're talking about all these. Maryland blew out Auburn. Okay.
So did New Mexico State.
Shots fired at Auburn. As a Georgia fan, I don't hate that.
I didn't say that they would, bro.
I don't hate that. I'll take all the shots at Auburn.
Mm-hmm. So, hey, welcome into the show, Coach Sean, from the Just My Humble Opinion show here on YouTube. He's always out there hanging out with Ty and Jake Merrill and those guys. Man, appreciate you joining us, Coach. Welcome, welcome to the Ruckus.
Pleasure to be here, brother. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Give us your take on some of this stuff. Obviously, Isaiah Gibson, and this was the question I had. Do you think Isaiah Gibson decommitting today had anything to do with a few hours earlier them canceling their series with Ole Miss that was supposed to be starting here, I think, next year, right? I mean, it doesn't look like Martin was trying to get rid of LSU before that.
I mean, for me, man, with Isaiah, I knew from the beginning that Georgia was going to be a player for this kid. He's right there from the state. It didn't matter that he committed to USC. A lot of these these kids all know each other, man. They talk to one another. They go on these recruiting trips, man. They commit to these universities, right? But it's very, very difficult to pull a kid out of Georgia and, to hold him, right? It's very difficult if Georgia wants a kid from the state of Georgia. If they really, really, really want him, to hold him. Now, they've lost a few kids in the last couple of years to Alabama. But defensively, if Kirby really, really, really wants you, it's very, very difficult, man, to say no to the University of Georgia. Even for Caleb Downs. He didn't go to Georgia, obviously, but his family, make no mistake about it, are Georgia fans. And so it doesn't at all, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, and scheduling isn't equal across the board. There's no, you know what? We're not going to keep talking to you about this Trojan fight. We see what you're talking about.
Okay, hold on. Georgia does play Clemson, and then with the cupcakes or whatever. But we also go on the road to Texas. We go on the road to Alabama, and we go on the road to Ole Miss. All teams that won 11 games last year. Can USC say that? But that's not even the point. The point is USC and Notre Dame are historic. Clemson and Georgia are. I mean, we here locally we be talking to each other, but I mean that's not a historic rivalry or whatever. We ain't trying to get rid of Florida. Nobody, like if Florida left and went to the Big Ten, Florida still got to see us the last Saturday of October. They can't run from this butt whooping.
Yeah. We still got the cocktail party coming, right? No matter what, you ain't getting out of that, bro.
You ain't getting out of that, dog.
Yeah, it's silly talk. And here's the thing, when it comes to look, we're hearing some other stuff that there's a possibility that that Gibson is considering Oklahoma, but yeah, I think it's obvious that right now the leader would have to be Georgia. It would have to be Georgia, And I'll tell you another thing. I wouldn't get too comfortable with Justin Terry either.
I'm just telling you what the grapevine say.
Terry. It's just a fact,
Hey, like he said, man.
Anything he says.
Like he said, Kirby says it doesn't matter if you're committed to Georgia or committed somewhere else. He's going to recruit you until signing day.
Fact.
That's just. Yeah. I mean, he's going to recruit you to stay at Georgia, or he's going to recruit you to come. And defensively, it's kind of hard to argue that if you're from the state and you see the production of the defenders and the draft. I mean, just watch the draft. It's like a advertisement for Georgia defense.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, Gibson will be in Oklahoma this weekend. He'll be in Norman this weekend. That's the only other one that we know that he's got official scheduled.
I think
so
Ohio
far.
State. I think he's looking at Ohio State as
possibly
far as
Ohio State
as a visit. Yeah.
What they had on 3 was it's the 3 SEC schools, Tennessee being the other one.
Yeah.
And then, but I really wouldn't count out anybody that when it comes to that. It sounds to me, because what he had said before, if there was a possibility to leave, it would be about geography and being close to home. So,
right.
I mean, and the thing is if with being a defensive line guy and, with the history of Ohio State defensive line players, I mean, you can definitely understand why he would take that visit. Go talk to Larry Johnson.
It's Ohio State. I tried to get my nephew to take Ohio State visit. He's from South Carolina. I'm like, yeah, you a wide receiver. Take Ohio State visit. What are we talking about?
Why would you not? Even if you don't go there, it's a good thing that you went. Right. It doesn't hurt your stock, period.
Right.
Bro, let me ask this. Did I just see somebody compliment Notre Dame, like playing Notre Dame was difficult or something?
Ooh, Coach
that's funny.
Coach
hey,
Sean,
man.
you with Coach Roybal right next to you, man. We about to get a fight in here.
Bro, listen, I keeps it real. The truth is in the details. I got nothing against Notre Dame, but if you're comparing a schedule where you play Notre Dame to a team that play Clemson, at Bama, at Texas, at Ole Miss, then you ridiculously crazy.
Schedule, that's for sure. Yeah, well, and especially when they don't have Ohio State or Oregon on their conference schedule either.
But that's the point. They're trying to get out of the Notre Dame game. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, rivalries just down in the South, I guess, just mean, well, I don't know, dog. Like, there's no way I think USC and Notre Dame shouldn't be playing every year.
How would you? I mean, is there a way that you could possibly look softer than to want to get out of that game because they're not in a conference? And I've heard it a million times from a lot of creators that we should make it easy on Notre Dame. That if they're going to play us, they should have to play us in the conference and for it to mean something. Every game means something. The fact is, Notre Dame right now is going to have one of the best defenses in the country.
Yeah, fact.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you like this. I don't care how good or bad they are. When Notre Dame come to your campus and it ain't a regular scheduled game every year, it's the biggest game of the year. Like 2019 when Notre Dame came to Athens, biggest game in Athens all year.
Yeah,
it was. It's like tickets go up, skyrocket. It's like it's the Notre Dame prestige. So with that said, man, they're not going to a conference. They're Notre Dame. They're just it don't matter if they're good or bad. They Notre Dame, dog. They don't have to go to a conference. That's just what it is. If you couldn't get to join a conference in COVID,
you can keep cherry picking Trojan fight, but until you actually acknowledge that they're going to go play on the road at Texas, they're going to play on the road at Ole Miss, two teams that are favorites to get to the playoff.
Yep.
They got to play Tennessee. Another one of those teams that's a favorite to get there. Look, Georgia's got a tougher schedule than what SC has. Period.
Yes.
Point blank.
My God.
No two ways around it.
Even with the cupcakes. Even with the
same with Oklahoma. Even with the cupcakes, Oklahoma is playing a Big 12 school. They're playing Temple, or they're playing they're playing Tulane, which they've been really good the last few years. They beat USC in the Cotton Bowl. So
Trojan fight, Notre Dame. Listen, man, the prime time to get Notre Dame to join the conference was COVID. They told you couldn't play in the playoffs without being in a conference. The ACC bent over and took it. It's like, yeah, come on, dog. They could have easily just said, hey, you're in an impossible position. The only way we letting you in during the COVID year is if you join for good. And they couldn't do that. So unless you have another COVID type situation, dog, Notre Dame is not getting in the conference. I'm sorry.
Hey, Benji, who you think wins, Maine or Vanderbilt? I don't know. It's probably about the same. And don't talk about the fact when y'all got the training wheel schedule for the SEC. Don't start, Texas.
Benji's a Texas guy.
Yeah. Don't start that shit. Here we go with that.
Shout out to Vandy.
Yeah. Hey, listen. That was something I was going to bring up. Honestly, that was something I was going to bring up is the way that this thing is set up. Notre Dame was smart to do it the way they did. First off, they can pick and choose their schedule, and they're going to get in either way. If they've got a 10-2 schedule, they're going to put them in. You know why? If they got a 10-2 record, they're going to put them in. You know why? Because this shit is about money. This is about money. Let's not get it twisted. It's about money. But I'm going to tell you another thing. Same thing with SC. If SC has a 10-2 record, possibly even a 9-3, because of the fact that you're in the Big Ten, even though the Big Ten is not the SEC. Let's get that real. They're gonna put you into if there's a 9. If they're gonna put a 9-3 team in, it would be SC. Why? Because the needle moves. Don't sit there and act like SC's getting screwed. Yeah. Don't sit there and act like SC's getting screwed because they're not. They're not even having to play Oregon or Ohio State. The toughest game you got is at home, Penn State, and Notre Dame. The two toughest games you got are at home.
Yeah, I think he asked, is it a gauntlet or Texas have a favorable schedule? I think when you talk in terms of an SEC schedule, Texas has a favorable schedule because their hard games are at home or neutral site. They don't have to go into anybody like Georgia. They get at home. Oklahoma, they get neutral, and they're used to playing that game anyway. Florida, they get at home, and Michigan is there. I would say, they got to go to Michigan. That's a tough game, but I mean, when you get all your hard games at home, that means something. Just like Ole Miss. Ole Miss has a better schedule this year than they did last year because they had their 3 toughest games on the road last year. This year, all 3 of those games are in Oxford. So,
and look, I can speak.
So go ahead.
I can speak to that. My bad. Sorry about that. I can speak to that. He's 100% right, man. Because look at Bama 2 years ago. Like we had 5 road games, bro. That was some of the toughest road games in the country. We went to Texas, to LSU, to Ole Miss, to Arkansas, and to somebody else, right? Tennessee, right? We lost to Tennessee, last second field goal. We lost to LSU in overtime, right? Very tough environments, especially late in the season. That is the difference in the SEC than most conferences. The road games late in the season, man. A game that you say Kentucky that you may blow them out in September, in November and October, right? Well, I'll just say October, late October, going into Kentucky on a Saturday night. That's a game that you could look up in the fourth quarter and your ass could be in a fight, right? Going to Arkansas late in the season, Texas. I know they don't. I'm not sure if they play Arkansas or not. I'm pretty sure they do, right?
Yeah, they do. They got to go to Arkansas late in the season. Yeah.
That's a game that you have to be careful, right? You have to be careful with these games because these quote unquote wins that you count will bite you if you're not careful, man. Those teams will play over their head. They'll play some of the best football they played all season against you.
Nothing to lose.
And nothing to lose.
Yeah. And every one of them has 4 or 5 guys that are going to be in the NFL no matter what, even the bad ones.
It's a whole fact.
Yeah. Shawty said about something about collusion and I think he was talking about getting Notre Dame to be. Listen, the problem with that, Shawty, in my opinion, is there's not enough elite teams that'll keep them off the schedule. If Notre Dame wants to play Georgia, Kirby's playing Notre Dame. If you know what I'm saying, if Clemson wants to play, Notre Dame wants to play Clemson, Clemson's playing Notre Dame. Oklahoma and Texas. So the collusion would have to come from some powers that be. If Maryland say they don't want to.
We're the real powers that be right now, Coach. They're the TV networks. The TV networks are in charge. They're the power.
So it's like
never happened.
outside of Michigan, there's nobody like really turning down Notre Dame because they're not in the conference. Really, I mean, not the games.
USC.
Just SC, just
right,
SC. Yeah,
right,
it's off. I mean, but apparently that's a. I don't know why you're in here trying so hard to take up for Lincoln Riley when you're seeing all this, bro. You really are, and I mean, look, like I said, shout out to USCJ. I plan on doing some work with him over the weekend. I'm hoping I get to talk to him about this, and I mean, we're real with each other, and he's real about. I got to give him.
He's the same page. He thinks they shouldn't be having 2 OOC P4 games. He's like, why? I saw him posted on Twitter, so I was like, okay. Like I say, I just think going from Pete Carroll,
I'll ask him about it because I think it's fair to ask the question of what are we talking about?
I just think going from Pete Carroll 20 years, 20 years ago, saying anywhere, anytime, any place, and still winning championships.
Yep.
To now, we shouldn't have to play this, this style. This many good teams or something like that.
I mean, in the end, all you got to do is look at the results of the playoffs it's 13 years in the playoffs. You've got 9 SEC champions.
It's a fact.
SEC national champions.
You know what, guys, at the end of the day, if you're going to be the best, you got to play the best. Bottom line.
Thank you. I mean, again, I don't even know why it's so hard to understand this. The bottom line, here's the difference. I'm going to tell you as an Oklahoma fan that when they went to 3 in a row, right? And the first one, we felt like I was at the Rose Bowl and then I was at the Orange Bowl. We could talk about that stuff all day. They had a real shot to win at the Rose Bowl. They didn't have a real shot the next year against Alabama. They were down 28-3 before we blinked twice. That was an expensive damn trip to Miami, and it was over with before I got settled into my seat.
That's a hard feeling right there. That's a hard feeling right there.
Next year you run into maybe one of the best college football teams of all time in LSU with Joe Burrow and all that. Good grief, But I can tell you that third year, I knew that they were. Most of us Oklahoma fans were like, "Good grief, don't get in," and Oregon gagged that game up at the end of the year to Arizona, and it kept them from getting in, and it put Oklahoma back in it. We knew what was about to happen. Nobody wanted to see that again. So I can tell you from that perspective, I don't care about going to the playoff. I care about winning the shit when you get there.
Yeah.
That's what I care about. And that's what I thought that was the way that USC fans felt. I heard a guy that was on the show with Tim Prangley and Matt the other day literally said he wished that they had not joined the Big Ten and instead the Big 12 or the ACC. What has gotten into the water out there?
Yeah. I just talked about that on Ty's channel. I just talked about that. I had a fan from USC tell me we'll be happy with 8-4. And I know statistically that might be okay, cool, considering where you're at right now, but it's just different than the USC I remember growing up. Very, very, very different.
I think that may play a part in it too, Coach. All of us, are around the same age, so we grew up where USC was mighty. Man, who cares what jersey you put on? Line them up.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Facts,
that
man.
type of. So it's hard for us to see the Trojans not want to take on all comers because that's what we're used to. You know what I'm saying? It's like this is just it's a different day and age, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. And I would certainly agree with that, guys. But again, still, it's still a culture change, and it's still a Lincoln Riley culture that he's creating. By saying the things he's saying, that he doesn't want to play these people, and so we did grow up seeing that USC. That big ones line up, little ones bunch up. It doesn't matter. We're going to play whoever the hell lines up, but Lincoln is completely opposed to that, and so everybody's buying into that. And I do want to make a comment to Fisherman, talking about Michigan blocking Notre Dame. Guys, ain't nobody blocking Notre Dame's ass.
Not anymore. I think he was talking about
that's back in the day.
Yeah.
But today, every conference wants Notre Dame in, whether we'd like to admit it or not.
That's a fact.
Oh, I think the SEC would jump at the opportunity.
Big facts.
Of
Big
course.
Facts. Big facts.
Money, man.
You're shutting the money down when you bring no. That's why I was saying, no matter who you are, if Notre Dame isn't somebody,
it's the biggest get,
no doubt. It's your biggest game revenue of the year. I don't care who you play on the schedule. It's going to be your biggest revenue game. Easy.
Yeah.
Real quick. Shout out and condolences to the family of Willie Mays, man. I mean, say hey. Can't believe it. He's passed away today. Rest in peace. To me, he's the best baseball player I've ever heard of. You know, Willie Mays, man. It's Willie Mays. If anybody was better, it was his nephew. So, hey, man. Rest in peace to Willie Mays. Thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate you saying that, Fisherman. Look, guys. In Trojan fight, this is the last. We're not going to keep on going back and forth with you. You could just hold your breath now. Go ahead and hold your breath. That's what you want to do. You don't want to listen. You don't want to. I mean, we're talking silly shit now at this point. You can look at the strength of schedule, period, and then there it is. And your legit question, apparently that FCS game would go away. Yeah, and it's not like everybody's scheduling FCS games. Florida, for instance, they play the Big 12, a team that's going to probably contend in the Big 12 and UCF this year. They play Florida State, and they also play
Miami,
yeah. So they're playing the big boys in the state of Florida. I think they may have an FCS team on there too, but I don't even think so.
They got I think they got Sanford, and then they got 11 P4 games.
Okay. Yeah.
Florida has the toughest schedule I've ever saw. I'll just tell you that.
Yeah, I think it may be the toughest schedule in history.
Look at the back end of the schedule.
If Duke was to win 9 games, you just got to give him.
But the thing about Florida's schedule is not just it's 11 P4 games. Nobody else plays 11 P4 games, I don't think. And it's not just the games that they play. Like you say, the back of their schedule, they play Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State. Like back to back to back.
That's crazy.
Texas is on the road. Florida State is on the road. Like all no break.
That could go very bad, man.
Hey, couldn't happen to a nicer group of guys.
Yeah, and look at it. I mean, Billy's not trying to play to weasel his way into the playoff. He's trying to play to keep his damn job.
That's a fact.
They got a
nicer group of guys.
Damn. And if you're Florida and you owe the dude $30 million, you don't want to have to pay a buyout and go and get. I mean, what are you going to have to pay the next coach to come in there and deal with it? So, I mean, it's a bad situation for Florida. They got to figure it out. They got to figure it out. But I mean, I think that
I want him to keep Billy.
Yeah.
If you hate on Florida's schedule and make a point about Florida schedule, you clearly are clueless about this game. That's the toughest schedule that any team play.
Keep Billy.
I'm an Alabama fan, and I would not want to play that schedule right there back to back like that. Not this year, right? That schedule is brutal, bro. Brutal.
Yes.
Yep.
That's how it is, man. So
the whole conference gets one less, bro. You got it. You got it.
Well, maybe Trojan fight. Maybe y'all USC fans will get what y'all want, and Notre Dame will go away, and you won't have to play the other game. Now, what's crazy is if that happens and you still don't win the Big Ten, then what will you say?
They're not going to.
Because you still have a conference with Oregon, Ohio State, and Michigan in it. So
yeah, and they're not playing. And that's the other thing. I mean, seriously, you're not having to play those two monsters this year. Right now I'm looking at the top 25, the latest one that they put out at ESPN. Number 1's Georgia, number 2's Ohio State. You don't got them. Number 3, Texas, number 4, Oregon. So 2 top 5 teams in the conference. You don't have to mess with them. LSU, you know where LSU comes in? You do have Notre Dame at number 5. Okay. Where does LSU come in? Let's see.
I think they 11
14th according to that's ESPN's, right? Okay. But
hey, where's Alabama? Where's Alabama? 6?
Yeah, so yeah,
Georgia
Alabama
2 of the top 6 teams.
No. Yeah, Alabama's at 7th. Ole Miss is at 6th.
Okay. Oh, well, my bad. Georgia playing 3 of the top 7 teams on the road. On the road.
Oklahoma plays.
Maybe y'all can drop them.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Oklahoma plays number 3 Texas, number 6 Ole Miss on the road, number 7 Alabama, number 8 Missouri on the road, number 14 LSU on the road. You get them in a neutral site game. What are we talking about? You still want to talk about this? Because we can start reading this stuff off and we can really make you look bad. Silly talk, just bullshit.
I got a question for you, Jason. Been an Oklahoma fan. I got a question for you.
Okay.
If Lincoln Riley, if Oklahoma never joins the SEC, is Lincoln Riley still the coach at Oklahoma?
Not if USC is offering still what they offered them, though. That was a pretty package.
And that's the thing. I think that there was a couple of things that were going on with that it wasn't just that, but I think it had a lot to do with it was the SEC stuff. There's no two ways around it. I mean, you can't even deny it. But what I would tell you is, to me, I know I speak for Oklahoma fans right now. I thank God every day that he's gone.
Y'all hate Lincoln Riley, boy.
I'm telling you, he was slimy on the way out. He had his guys recruiting for SC while he was still coaching Oklahoma, and we're talking early in the season still. I mean, early that started going on. I'm telling you now, I thank God every day that he's not still at OU. There's no way they'd be anywhere close to ready. No way. But no, it's clear that he didn't want to play there.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Well, Riley's starting to remind me a lot of Mike Gundy. Not wanting to play.
Fisherman says, who would you rather have, Riley or Day? Day, and it's not even a contest. For me, I'd take Brian Day.
I mean, he's won playoff games, and they're going to put one of the best defenses in the country on the field this year.
Yeah,
they are.
Right.
But he's got to win too, though, guys. He
does.
He's kind of on the hot seat a little bit.
Well, according to Ohio State fans, if he loses to Michigan, he better win a natty.
Exactly.
Bloody. What's up, man?
So whose seat is hotter, Ryan Day's or Mario Cristobal's?
Oh,
Ryan
it's
Day.
Ooh.
Yeah, Ryan Day. I think Ryan Day.
Remember,
Miami, that's a loaded question.
Miami. Remember this now. Miami is a private institution, so they can pay these kids what the hell they want, right?
True.
They've been recruiting well. You got talent. You've been in the top 10 the last couple of years, right? You're from the area. Big promises, big expectations. The fan base is crazy. I don't know if it's another fan base who are overrated as far as what they believe, other than Tennessee fans, than Miami fans. Man, I don't know.
I'll say if you take the Michigan game, you don't factor in the Michigan game, then I agree with you, Cristobal. But when you had that Michigan game, like they were talking about it. They were talking about it last year because you got to think like Ohio State beat Michigan like 14 straight years or something like that, and then they lost to them 3 straight years. So we talked about it on Jason's show. I want to say a couple months ago or something. It's like if you lose to Michigan, you have to win the natty. If you beat Michigan, you at least got to make the playoffs and make it to the natty or something like that.
Exactly.
So because if somebody put on Twitter like the winning percentages, like overall, I want to say Ohio State was either number 1 or number 2 all time.
Yeah.
It's like they don't even know what losing is really.
Yeah.
But I agree. Cristobal
would not rather have Kyle Whittingham. I would take him over most coaches in the country.
Big facts. Yeah. But Cristobal he was supposed to be the savior, and
he's 3-0 against Lincoln Riley, by the way.
And the way they've lost in Miami,
right?
Not taking the way they've lost, man.
Right. And this year they actually have more talent than everybody in the ACC outside of Clemson. And so if they
might be nipping at their heels. They might be. Miami got some talent, man. You see all the outside linebackers they got.
There's
the
no
transfer portal.
Yeah, there's no reason why they shouldn't be better.
They got the best quarterback they've had in years.
They got Cam, right? They got Cam Ward done came in. So I think tensions are definitely high in South Beach. You better Coral Gables, wherever you at. So
here's where I think that Ryan Day with the talent that they have now their trigger man is questionable. I don't know that. I mean, I'm not a Will Howard guy. I don't think he's that good, but he's got his moments. And if anybody's going to get something out of him, you could see Day and them doing it. But with that defense and the amount of players that Michigan lost, you better beat Michigan. You better
beat coach.
Michigan. If you don't win the Natty, you better beat Michigan. 4 years in a row, there's no way that they let him get away with that shit.
Well, and I tell you what, I think this year everything's set for him to beat Michigan with all the players Michigan lost, having a new head coach.
Right.
I think it's sitting there on a silver platter for him to win against Michigan this year. I personally don't see Michigan being as near as good as they were.
I don't either. I think Ohio State loses this year to Michigan. He should be fired because they are head and shoulders to me.
Yeah.
At this point, unless a whole bunch of people get hurt, better than Michigan. So
well, now the defense at Michigan is something else. We know that they're going to be good, and I think that they've built a system there that should be fine. But it's still not better than what you have at Ohio State right now. You're right.
That's what I'm saying. Like Michigan's defense is good, but like what they got at Ohio State is bananas. The only one area where I say they can't afford any injuries or anything like that is O-line. And if their O-line doesn't perform like they should, that's it. But outside of that, man, like defensive front, linebackers, like safety, running backs, wide receiver, you dog. I'm like you. I'm not. I don't know what to expect from Will Howard, but I mean, he is throwing to like 7 different 5-star wide receivers.
Yeah. No, and I mean, they're talking about the one kid like he may be
Jeremiah
ready to be an NFL All-Pro immediately.
Jeremiah Smith, I wanted him bad.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this question. So let's say Ryan Day gets fired.
Okay.
Do you think Chip Kelly has a chance to take over?
He'd be the only one I could see right now. I mean, unless some newcomer is, because Ohio State's going to expect the best. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, or do they go defense? Do they go? Hey, hold on. I'm going to tell you who I think it is. If Notre Dame does good, they're going to go after Marcus
Freeman. Well, see, I think Coach just brought up a good point. I think, and I forgot when we was talking about the pressure on Day and Cristobal, adding Chip Kelly adds pressure on Ryan Day. I think
it does, and I truly believe that.
No, I'm talking about because Chip Kelly is held as like one of the best offensive minds in the game. So, like, if you can't win with this guy and you're a good offensive mind, it's like, what are y'all doing? Like, well, I say, added pressure.
I think Kelly went there with those thoughts in mind that he'll probably take over.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you say they pulling to Arkansas? They hiring replacements now.
Could be. Well,
Bobby P replacing Sam Pittman.
I don't know why you wouldn't want Chip. Here's the thing. He's the only Oregon coach that's went to the playoff. Washington's been to the playoff twice.
Ooh, that's
since
hard.
then.
That's hard right now. That's hard.
Right? And Cristobal didn't do it. He recruited well, like you just said. I mean, look, to me, Chip Kelly has put together offenses and had #1 picks and Heisman guys.
Right.
Hey, say what you want. But actually, I mean, they won a game in the playoff, didn't they?
They went. Chip Kelly made it to the national. Well, yeah, made it to the national.
Yeah, they got beat by Cam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. They got beat by Auburn that year, and that was a game. It was a hell of a game. So again, I would just tell you that to me, I don't know. I guess they could go with Chip. I don't know that. It sounds to me like Chip's okay with being not the head coach anymore, particularly whenever you were at UCLA and dealing with.
For now,
UCLA's having to give some of their money away to Cal.
he's okay with it for now, Jason.
True that.
Ben G, I agree with you. Chip Kelly has shown that he's not really about the recruiting life. But if you're at Ohio State, do you really have to be? I mean, it's Ohio State.
They don't. I mean, yeah, they do it for you.
It's kind of like LSU, you know, and Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly's not a super good. He's not a good recruiter, but he's at LSU. All you gotta do is hire one guy on the staff. That's all you need is that one guy. You need that Ron Zook. You need that Ron
I want
Zook
to answer
guy.
this one right here. Why is he the coach you would want first and foremost? Tell me why. What big game has that dude won? Everybody's got him on the high list of one of the top elite coaches in the country. He hadn't won any more than Mario Cristobal has. What the hell are we talking about?
He reminds this
0-3 against Kalen DeBoer.
This is just truthful, man. As far as perception, he reminds everybody of Kirby. That's why they want him.
I don't give a shit.
I'm just talking about his passion for the game. It's the reason why, you know what I'm saying? It's like they see it like this. It's like a transitive property. Kirby reminds people of Saban, and he reminds people of Kirby. So they thinking,
Coach Sean.
Well, now he just needs to win like Kirby.
Well,
Coach
I mean, that's a different different story.
What's your thoughts on Dan Lanning, Coach?
I think Dan is a young up and coming guy, right? I think it's more to what Coach said. You know, you see Kirby when you think of him. You see, you know, but at the end of the day, man, the truth is in the details. All that's going to come out this year. You in the Big Ten, you at Oregon. You talked a lot. Now. So we're gonna see this year. We're gonna see what you're about.
0-3 against Kalen DeBoer though, and he's in.
Yeah, Kalen.
Listen,
beating you. Yeah,
right. If you tired of the Dan Lanning stuff now, if they beat Ohio State,
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, if they do that, I'll get off his back because you just beat a national title contender, in my opinion.
Right.
If you do that,
even I'm talking about his name is gonna be like
I'll get off his back. Hey, look, until he does that, though, I don't want to hear shit.
I mean, at the end of the day, man, you gotta win, bro. You gotta win.
Come on, man. When you have that, you have those kind of resources, the ability to recruit the kids that you can. Look, Oregon is Nike U.
Shawty said it.
Yes, bro. Everything.
Everything's copycat, dog. Everything's copycat.
Thanks.
It is a fact.
Right. Part of the reason why, listen, it's not the only reason. It's not maybe even the main reason, but part of the reason why you hire on Venables. He's bringing a lot of the clips and stuff that he did there. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I tell people, I don't like people always say, well, Kirby copied Alabama. If it gets us championships, copy on.
Yeah.
Who the hell cares? Hey, there isn't a coach alive that is worth a shit that didn't copy it off of somebody else.
Coach Saban copied Don James. I mean, that's what coaching is. That's what coaching is.
Hey, I was about to say, I coached basketball for 15 years, dog. And listen, every time I saw a good play, I'm like, I'm taking
that's
that
a fact.
Right,
that's
there.
A whole fact. Yep, it's a whole fact, man.
There's very few guys. There's very few coaches that have changed the game in big ways.
Right.
That there's a few, but there's not many.
No, you got it. Right. You got to take what you can get, dog. You smart. If you're a smart coach, you do. If you're a smart coach, now you can be out here and be stubborn and say, I ain't gonna take nothing from nobody. Like, right. If the dude's winning, why wouldn't you want to take something from his game?
Of course.
Coach. Yeah, I mean, Coach Roybal, who did you take the triple I and all the stuff that you were, I mean, 335, you learned it from somewhere, didn't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you got, and you know, all of us that have coached, we have our mentors that we've learned from. We've got even our mentors, you know, we've had great mentors that have helped us learn some things, but we've also had mentors that weren't worth a shit that we learned what not to do.
Right.
I mean,
absolutely.
Right. I told some of my players, you can learn something from a bad team just like you can learn something from a good team. Watch what not to do.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
bro, I'm not telling you that I think a whole lot of Ryan Day either. I think that he was handed a Ferrari similar to, but the one thing he didn't do is similar to what Lincoln had lots of runway with what he got left. I mean, look, he had Baker Mayfield, Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine, and along with CeeDee Lamb and D.D. Westbrook when he got that job on that offense. So, and on top of that, they were big enough to compete with Georgia. It wasn't like that. The year after that in the Orange Bowl, it wasn't the same. Now, Ryan Day at least has been able to, at least kind of keep it floating. Now he did go over the problem with Ryan Day is that he's presided over the time where they went from winning every game against Michigan to now they can't win one. So that's a problem. I still think, he was born on third base and he thinks he's going to hit a home run if he gets out. You know what I mean? That is what it is. But he's still winning a lot of football games, they haven't fallen off completely as far as like Oklahoma was a dumpster fire when Lincoln left it. Period. What Brent Venables has done in 2 short years, it's night and day difference, not just in the guys they've had 3 straight top 10 recruiting classes, one of them in the top 5. They're trending to the same thing again this year. And he went from 6-7 with not much of a roster to 10-2 the next year. 10-3 the next year. It is what it is. And BV has done it at those defenses are going to be, they're going to be fine on defense. I would absolutely love it if Oklahoma, by the way, they're Trojan. I would love it if Oklahoma played USC right now. Believe me.
That was going to happen. I think we was thinking that was going to happen last year when y'all didn't make the New Year's Six. We was hoping for it anyway. We were hoping for the Lincoln didn't
right. He didn't want nothing to do with that.
So,
he didn't want nothing to do with
that. Would have you talk about some viewership? That would have definitely
would have.
You know what I'm saying?
Look, and if SC would have been right, they would have overruled it and said, "No, play it." Suck it up.
All right.
But from what we're seeing here, it doesn't appear that that's the case around there. You guys are crazy, man. You guys are crazy over here talking about this. And I'm going to tell you another thing. Listen, guys, did I paraphrase Cool Runnings?
What? I didn't know who he said. I didn't know if it was me, Coach, or you.
Who did it? What did we say?
I don't know. I did. Listen, if I did it, I didn't mean to because I've never seen the movie.
I love that movie, but I don't think I said anything from there.
It's one of my brother's favorite movies, but I ain't never watched
it. Hey, it's wild. But here's the other thing. So these toughest schedules that we've been talking about, I think to me, you want to play the best one that you can, though. That's where I was getting at. The point I was making is I don't want to see Oklahoma go back into a playoff situation that they're going to get rolled in. If you lose, you lose, but you're out there playing the best teams. And that's the way it is. But talking about the playoff, and since I got you guys here, we're all kind of representing different schools that should have a shot here to get in this year. What do you think about the way the format is? I was thinking about this the other day, and I think that Notre Dame ended up in a perfect position because if they can go 10-2, or let's say they go 11-1, 12-0, which with that schedule, I mean, Coach, you talked about this. 11-1. If they don't go 11-1, 12-0, you're not going to be happy about it, right?
No.
But that probably puts you in the 5 hole, which isn't a bad thing because that means you open up with number 12 because the top 4 spot. It's a perfect spot.
I think it's good for the first round, but you're on the same side as number 1 too, though.
Sure.
Whoever ends up number 1, yeah. You see what I'm saying? Like you end up on the same side.
Wait a minute, no, because they were talking about it. I was the way that. So you would get the G5 school, but it's
you get the G5, and then now you don't get the number 1 till it's not the same, right?
Yeah. No. You get number 1 to make it to see who goes to the
right.
Yeah. So you're right. In that case, then you only have to really.
There's 2 games there back to back,
right?
That are very winnable.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying. You would have 2 games that are winnable. You're in the semifinal. You got a shot now.
Right.
So I think that worked out pretty good for them to not. And the reason I say that is if they're not going to ever they could go 12-0, be number 1 in the country and not get a bye. So you at least, you need to get the G5, I would think,
We're also not playing a conference game.
That's fair. That's fair. No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But it's, yeah. I mean, and I also would say, and somebody had kind of brought it up. Let's say that, yeah. Well, I think this was JD Piquel was saying something about it. I mean, even if Georgia was the one to get in, right, and say they didn't win, so for whatever reason they didn't win the SEC, and they went in as the number 5 team because they probably would. You know what I mean? If you're the number 2 SEC, you're probably next in.
So the G5 best G5 team doesn't automatically get
number
that 5
12.
spot.
There's no guarantees
Okay,
for where they're at.
I got you.
No.
Okay.
And thankfully for that, they shouldn't even be in it. They should not be in it.
So we got the 4 Power 4 conference winners, and then the best G5 gets spot 12, and then the other 7 spots are at large.
Right.
Okay. That's why strength of schedule matters. You got 7 spots for at large.
That's right.
Like, talk about resume, trying to compare resumes. That's gonna be it right there.
Right.
And if you do not have a good strength of schedule, your 10-2 or 9-3 or whatever is not going to be the same. It's like your 10-2 could not be the same as somebody else's 9-3, depending on what it is.
If you,
I'm personally glad it's like this.
You go 10-2, keep topping at Rutgers, and you didn't play any of those teams in the conference, what makes you think you would slide in at 10-2?
This is why I'm glad it's like this, man. This will cut out all this.
Yeah. Right.
My team was undefeated. My team had this, bro. Every 10-1. Look, listen. Your team might be 10-2. My team might be 9-3. That we're in different conferences. We play a different level of competition. Your 10-2 might not be better than my 9-3. The record is better. And you can call me, let me get on my homer stuff for a minute. I watched Alabama lose to LSU. I watched Alabama lose to Tennessee, both in the last seconds of the game, right?
That's right.
I watched you put TCU in that game. I watched you say TCU was better because their record was better. You said their record was better.
About. So you end up with a team like Alabama that year. It's same kind of thing that's what I was bringing up, Coach. So
yes,
you get in because you're one of the better teams in the country, but you lost those 2 games where you wouldn't have gotten in before. Think about Georgia last year, even losing to Bama in the SEC.
Thanks.
Nobody wanted to see Georgia in that damn playoff.
And that's why what you just said, and let me make people mad right quick. Nobody can tell me Florida State sitting out. They should have set out. No, you went undefeated. You got screwed. You should have had a more reason to play more than Georgia did. You about to play Georgia.
They could have played. They could have pulled a UCF, and if they Georgia, then
you could have sent shockwaves through college football with a win over Georgia. You could have sent shockwaves.
It certainly would have. It certainly would have made your bitching more.
But you didn't want to play Georgia. You took that opportunity to sit out. We're undefeated. We were happy with that. We're going to take our ball and go home. No. Alabama was in that same situation, a similar situation. Year before that, when we lost those 2 games,
screwed because they did. I mean, I'll agree with that.
Cincinnati, I think, or something like that.
We played Kansas State, the team that beat TCU.
Yeah.
A week later, and smacked them. Right. So that let the world know. Well, damn. Okay. So I'm glad it's like this. Now it's no excuses. Line up and play.
Right. So the playoff bracket is like Coach was saying, and you were saying, Jason, if Notre Dame gets the 5 spot, they play 12 first.
Right.
And then if they beat 12, then they play 4.
Here, I'll pull it up.
They play 4. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I should have shared my screen.
I got it.
You got it? Okay.
And
I hold on, let me share mine, then you can put it up there. But yeah. So they would like Coach said, they would play 2 games. It's there, Jason, if you want to show it.
Got it.
Hold on, let me make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah, blow it up. Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Yeah, so it would be
Yeah, so if they got that 5 spot, they would play 12 first, and then they would play 4. So that, like Coach said, they wouldn't have to see number 1 until it's the game before the championship.
And that's what I was saying right there, is that, like, you think about that 2 years ago when Saban was talking about that they should be in or whatever, nobody was going to let them in at 2 losses. It wasn't going to happen. But In this situation, they'd be, damn well they would have seeded them number 5. They would have seeded them number 5 without even blinking an eye about it. Right? Because they would have. So, and who in the hell wanted to deal with Bryce Young and that Alabama team? I mean, forget the 12 game. It's your G5 school. They're going to roll them. But then that number 4 team, the number 4 team is probably from the Big 12 or the ACC.
Yeah.
They're going to beat the shit out of them.
Trojan Fight said nearly all the games are on ESECPN.
Poor fellers. Poor fellers.
Hey man, money. Hey, listen, money talks, bro.
Look. Ask them this, because I hear that a lot about the channel, the side too. Ask them, is the NFL draft rigged too? Ask them that. The SEC have more players drafted, almost double than a lot of these guys.
Come on.
Ask them that.
Right, I have to take that back. Actually, when money talks, actually the Big Ten makes more money through media deals than the SEC does.
But they have more revenue sports though. If you just break it to football, only football, the SEC make more than anybody. You got to remember the Big Ten has more revenue sports than we do.
Even though we kind of win everything.
Ask them, is the NFL draft rigged too?
Hey, listen, man, that's why I tell people the teams, you can talk about the teams, you can talk about the Vandys, the Kentuckys, the Mississippi States, but whether you look at it from a recruiting standpoint when they're coming out of high school into college or leaving college, going to the NFL, it doesn't matter. The SEC just has better individual players. That's just what it is. There's no arguing that. There's no arguing that. They have the most, the best recruits overall. If you go top to bottom, they have more of the top ESPN or 300 or 247, whoever you use, it doesn't really matter. And then when they get ready to leave, they have more players drafted. So individual talent is just more vast than the SEC.
Whatever you want. Yeah.
I told the story.
If you want to, man, all the metrics show that the SEC is king.
And look,
I don't know what else to say.
And look, it go deeper than that. Look, when I coached at my last stop here at JCHS, I can tell you a situation where at that time Matt Luke was still head coach of Ole Miss, and it was another dude at Nebraska, right? The coach at Ole Miss had a relationship with the high school coach I coached under, Coach Wade, right? Had a good relationship. Let me show you how this goes, and it goes deeper than just recruiting. Nebraska had been in the area, and their head coach and their coordinator called up the head coach and asked, "Coach, we're in the area. We want to come by and see such and such," right? Do you realize he didn't have a relationship with the Nebraska coach whatsoever? Didn't really know him, didn't really talk to him. So he was like, well, he's got testing today. It's going to be tough for you to get in. You might want to talk to his family and reschedule. Oh, okay, coach, no problem. 2 hours later, Matt Luke calls. Oh, come on through, Matt. Come on through, man. We in there eating salad. He talking to the kid. The kid ended up going to Mississippi State, right?
Oh,
so
tough.
It goes deeper than just
laughs about relationships.
Yeah, right. It's about relationships. That's a fact.
That's
Scratch my back, I scratch yours type stuff.
Absolutely.
Hey, you got, and I mean, that's the whole point. We've been talking about this a lot lately. You can recruit with bags of cash if you want to, and you better pay. You got to play the NIL game. I'm not going to sit here and tell you don't have to do it.
Fact.
But if that's the only thing that you got to sell to these kids is bags of cash or a Lambo or whatever, the beach at USC, because you ain't selling them on anything else. So what are we talking about? That defensive coach, the defensive staff that they brought in, I think it sucks for them because I think Danton Lynn has proven he's a hell of a coach. Hell of a coach, right? He got it done at UCLA, and they were terrible the year before. They're going to be a little better, but the problem is that they had all these guys leave that on that D line, and now you're going into a conference that's similar, and it's not the same, but similar to the SEC. It's the line of scrimmage league.
Ask Jimbo Fisher how well that money goes.
Yeah, man. I mean, and he even had the guys on the D line.
Yeah.
So I mean,
hell, he had them everywhere. They had more damn athletes than you could shake a stick at because they bought every one of them, and couldn't win a damn game.
we're talking about one time. The big, including the new members, have the most draft picks. By how many?
Hold on, Jason. Hold on.
Yeah,
you still got my thing. You can.
Hold on. Yeah, that was just this year. That was just this year.
Hold on.
One time.
Hold on. Jason, you can still show my screen still showing?
No, you need to take it down. You got to take it down first.
All right, hold on.
No. I got you.
Hold on, I'm gonna share it again. Hold on.
Share it.
Michigan did have the most draft picks. They did.
They did.
But you said the conference had more draft picks.
That's what he said.
I mean, I'm only going by what they. I don't know if I know how to read numbers or not. But I mean.
Okay, so how many? But it was he said with the new schools. So you're talking Washington, SC, UCLA, plus Oregon.
With the new schools?
No, that don't count.
Okay.
They was in the Pac-12.
No, they were not in
How
there.
you gonna add them after the draft? How you?
No, you can't do that.
They didn't officially. The schools don't officially didn't officially join your big. The schools didn't officially join your school. I mean, join your conference until actually they don't officially join.
The point is, he's saying that now that it's going to be different. It's going to be different now, is what he's trying to say. Now you can say that.
Hold on. So you're telling me the SEC who's on the draft? So the SEC who's on the draft, we add Oklahoma and Texas, who have more NFL players than almost everybody. Like.
Yeah.
That's gonna change things.
Yeah,
dude, is crazy.
I don't think it's gonna change like you think it is, dog.
That's an
including the new. Okay, so what about the SEC, including the new additions? You know what? Texas had 11, and Oklahoma had a short year because they had guys that came back instead of going, and so it was another 15. So you weren't catching that. You wouldn't have caught that, even if you added them. If Oklahoma and Texas get added, there's another 15.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh hell, let's talk about something that's important. That's asinine.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Listen, man. I don't know what I'm still mad about this conversation.
All of a sudden, Clemson and FSU are Big Ten schools. We're counting on that now, are we?
I was about to say Clemson ain't no Big Ten school, bro. It's ACC.
I don't even know what I mean. That's what we're talking about here. This is what the Big Ten does, though. This is what these Big Ten fans do this a lot. You know this. They want to tell you how great they are all the damn time. And every time, I mean, I'll tell you this. Ohio State's daddy was Clemson. When they get in the playoff and play against Clemson, they get their ass whipped every time. Brian Day's papa, Brant Venables.
Well, they think. I guess they got some inside info that FSU and Clemson are going to the Big Ten. I can tell you right now, Clemson wants to come to the SEC. They'll go to the Big Ten, but they want to come to the SEC. So,
yeah. What is this you're talking about?
He's saying that coach's story was true about the Mississippi State recruit.
Yeah. It happens.
I was on that staff. Yeah.
Yeah, hey, man, I mean, different coaches get privileged, dog, and listen, man, it's serious down here in the Southeast, man.
Look, man, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. It's like NASCAR. Come on, And by the way, don't say shit because SC's been known to do it too, and so is Ohio State and Michigan and everybody else. Michigan is in the middle of it all this year. Man. The bottom line is they've been doing it forever, and this is just. I mean, that's the way it goes. You have to get with the money that's going around for these coaches, and for these kids, for that matter. What would you expect? What would you expect?
So Trojan Fight makes a good point. Clemson not taking transfers not going to end well.
It
How y'all feel about it? Y'all think so?
I agree 100%. Now we can agree on something. They're Trojan Fight. Holy shit.
It may not end well nationally, but as far as the ACC is concerned, I don't think it's gonna make a huge difference. I don't know, man. I just don't see a lot of resistance in the ACC.
I'll say this. When NIL first hit,
and then winning any more national championships, Coach I.
Well, that's different. Yeah, that's different though. Yeah.
Yeah, when NIL first hit, we had to take a class on that stuff. When it first hit, the standard academic something compensation, they called it something else. It wasn't NIL. Then they started calling it what it was: name, image, likeness. Right. So I've been in situations where kids' names and images were used by companies. So I understand quite a bit about this the subject. If he does not conform,
more collectives, but I get it.
Yeah. If he does not conform to that, his program is going to get surpassed by programs that shouldn't surpass Clemson. This is a whole fact.
I think it already has happened because even first off, and somebody said this, I don't remember who it was. It could have been, one of these guys were talking about it, and it made a lot of sense. But it's okay. So ever since Venables left, they're recruiting, and they're still in the top, but they're not even in the top 10 anymore. Actually, they've dropped a little bit every year. Right, I think they finished 11th this past year. Right, and they have some good talent. Right, but even let's just say it's equal talent because it's Clemson or whatever. It just equal to the top 10 talent. But everybody else around them is also supplementing when they lose somebody with the transfer portal. You do this for 2, 3, 4 years in a row. Now all of a sudden, we're talking, and he made that comment about. They're not good enough. Transfer kids ain't good enough to play at Clemson. You went 8-4, Dabo. You went 8-4. Yeah. The hell are we talking about now?
I think the Clemson fans that's what they're mad about. They're mad that he won't seal up the cracks with transfers. Not like go crazy, but seal up the cracks with transfers.
Venables doesn't go crazy with it. Kirby Smart doesn't go crazy with it. Kalen DeBoer, Nick Saban didn't go crazy with it. Yeah. They don't. Notre Dame really can't go crazy with it because you can't just get everybody into school.
Well, the high school recruiting is your lifeblood. I mean, that's how you go.
It's just like the NFL. You got to draft and then use free agency in little spots, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
If you're going to build your football team every year based around the portal, you're in trouble. Because when you bring that many kids in, you're bringing in a lot of, hell, let's admit it. Some of them are going to be problematic. Some of them may be great players, but they got to learn your system. Just because you're a great player doesn't mean that because you're a great player over here at Timbuktu that you're going to come into this university and be a great player because you got to learn the system.
Right. And like you say, Coach, like they could be super talented and even good kids, but it's like you got to learn the system. Unless you're going from one school that plays the same, let's say, defense, basically. Like if a Georgia player goes to Alabama or an Alabama player comes to Georgia, defensively, schematically, at least before Nick Saban retired, that was pretty much it's just different terminology, but same scheme. You know what I'm saying?
Both pattern match.
But you guys know this. But even at the collegiate level, terminology is, that's going to take some time to pick up the new terminology. It's not, high school, it's watered down a lot more than it is at the collegiate level. And so even that little piece makes a difference.
But you are right, not every transfer is going to work. That's right.
Think about Keon Coleman last year, though. He came from Michigan State. And they didn't even think about. Are you going to tell me he wasn't good enough to play at Clemson? Maybe, Dabo loves to blame these quarterbacks for whatever the hell's going on with them over there. He's gotten rid of 2 that were number 1 in the country, or he hadn't gotten rid of the second one yet. But he's already blaming him for the shit. And you're going to tell me that Keon Coleman wouldn't have been good for him, and he let him get to Florida State? Don't tell me that they're not good enough to play at Clemson, because
those are the type of guys that make the Clemson fan base, like, hey, what are we doing? Especially when they come into Death Valley and have a good game. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, this dude came to, and Keon Coleman, he had the biggest catches in the game against Clemson. So when you see that and you're not doing it like they are, then it, that brings it all to light. You know what I'm saying? And not all transfers work out. No,
they don't. A lot of transfers. Just brought it up about Michael Tarquin. I think this is a hilarious subject, by the way. So when he was at Florida, he was one of the better offensive linemen in the country. When he got to USC and went into the yoga program, he got a little small. right? And from what I hear from all the USC creators, they always talk about how this offensive line coach ain't worth the shit. Bill Bedenbaugh is the #1 offensive line coach in the country. He's got more guys in the NFL than anybody else. What are we talking about? We'll see how it works out because they have a real strength and conditioning program and a real O-line coach. So, yeah.
And look, let me say this. Quick story. And, this is no dig at USC. This is no dig at USC. But I want to say this. The reason why I tell this is I want the USC fan to understand the difference. Damani Jackson, who loves USC, still was openly telling people, I always love USC. I'm from there. Kid said he went to a spring game at Bama, and he seen more fans at the spring game than he seen at games at USC. He couldn't believe it. Watch the interview he did. He was like, bro, it was a spring game, and I couldn't believe it was that many people going crazy. He said that's the most excitement the man had, man. Right? And if he think that's bad, wait till we start playing these games. Right? So that should tell you what you want to know. And he was very open about it.
Yeah. There will be no DJU strays in this stream, Benji. None. Friend of the family, we will not be throwing strays at DJU. Thank you. All right. Yeah. Listen, bottom line, we ain't doing all that. Look, but again, they hadn't, Coach Al, you said it yourself. They hadn't had a receiver there. Maybe this kid that they just got in, they haven't had a receiver there. Their offensive line was gone after he left. But you start talking about DJU, he broke a record at Notre Dame Stadium for an opposing quarterback that as a freshman, true freshman. All of a sudden, they don't have the same dudes anymore that they had with Watson or Trevor Lawrence. And they blame it all on him. And he was #1 in the country. Cade Klubnik comes in, he's #1 in the country, and now they're starting to blame it on Cade too. At what point are we going to say, hey, maybe y'all are missing? Maybe you need to update the Clemson offense. Let little Riley do his thing. Because his offense
I do think they have some wide receivers. They had the young guys step up last year. Tyler Brown, Antonio Williams should be 100%. And then again, you know how I feel about counting on true freshmen. Like it's good that they contribute. Sure. But to rely to really say, hey, our offense is going to be better if these guys play well. I don't think that's good if you're relying on freshmen like that. But it does look to be that TJ Moore and Brian Wesco, they look to
Wesco looks good. Yeah, Wesco was one of the top guys. Good. Yeah, no doubt.
TJ Moore came in, he came in summer enrollee, so we'll see. And then again, you said it. What's Garrett Riley's offense going to look like with Cade this second year? That's going to be a big thing.
It's a big if, but I mean, if you go 8-4 again and you're still not playing the game, right? You're still not playing the game with the NIL, and I think they've got an NIL there. But if you're not, look, there were 4 programs in the country that didn't get a single transfer in the portal. They were the service academies. There's 3 of them, and Clemson. The service academies can't add transfers. You have to have a senator appoint you to go to Army or West Point or the Naval Academy or the Air Force Academy. Mm-hmm. So it's not that they wouldn't like to take some, they can't.
Right.
So this is how far different he wants to be. And you can say what you want about Dabo's sitting there and living off the past and we know doing it our way works. It used to work, Dabo. It used to work.
Well, if he wins the ACC this year, he's just going to dig in deeper. So, because
it does you win the ACC, though. I mean, look how many games
I got to win in
Miami last year.
I got to win in the ACC, though.
Miami lost to damn Georgia Tech, bro.
Hey, can I say this? Can I say this to Trojan Fight respectfully? Trojan Fight on this Damani Jackson comment. That's simply not true. Trojan Fight. I was actually on the field during that game. That's simply not true. I think you're getting Damani mixed up with the young 5-star freshman Xavier Brown, who gave up the pass play. Damani actually played very well and had 4 pass breakups. He played very, very well because he's playing in a competent defense. You understand what I'm saying? He's not bailing every play. He's actually playing in a competent defense, not playing cover 3 all the time. He's playing in a defense that really extenuates what he does best. Play man, play leverage, right? No pattern matching, strictly vision coverage, and make plays. And that's what that young man did exceptionally well. I think you're mixing him up with the young freshman who got beat on a simple mesh route coming across the formation by Jeremy Bernard. So that's simply not true.
Who knows secondary guys better than Nick Saban did?
It's a fact.
And didn't he tell him no matter what, you got a home here?
It's a fact. He's going to play in a competent defense where he'll get to use what he does best. When I watched USC's defense that year, whoever their defensive coordinator, I couldn't even tell what defense they were playing. Had him playing weird leverages, bailing every play, like on 3rd and 1. What the hell are your corners bailing for?
Yes, 31 and they were 7 yards off the ball. We saw it for years at freaking Oklahoma. Believe me.
Yes.
Hey, so
he'll get the ball.
So as y'all bring that up, I got a question for you three guys. So USC got the new defense coordinator that's supposed to be pretty darn good. I can't even think of his name.
Jason said his name earlier.
Yeah, Alex. It's DeAnton Lynn. DeAnton Lynn.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's it. So do y'all think that he's going to make them that much better?
I mean, this is the thing. You can't be worse, can you?
This is the thing about, when you hire a new defense, it's like you still have to play complementary football, right? Yeah. So like one of the things you can't do that Lincoln Riley loves to do on offense is just be, all out pass happy or just up tempo or whatever it is. It's like, let's say your defense just
play hero ball. Yeah.
Right. Let's just say, if your defense is trying to come along, you can't have quick hitting touchdowns or like 3 and outs. And then now they got to be right back on the field. I don't care who you have as a defense. If they never get a rest and you don't play complementary,
they had one of the best running backs in the country, and he got 10 carries a game last year.
It's the reason why you see the Georgias and the Alabamas and even now the Oklahomas, you throw in some run here and there. Like they had Marshawn Lloyd last year, healthy. Yeah. And this dude would only get the ball like 10 times a game.
And
that's not complimentary football.
That's exactly the reason I asked the question, and you immediately hit the nail on the head. Because everybody is so excited about this new DC. But I don't think Lincoln Riley helps him in any way if he continues to do what he's always done. And listen, I don't think he's going to change.
I'm telling you, if they use Lloyd last year right,
he got 10 carries a game, Coach. 10 carries a game.
There was at least 2 games they don't lose there. I'm telling you, because like I don't remember. I don't know if it was it was a big game. I forget who they were playing. They were either up or about to be up, and I'm like, bro, just run the ball, bro. Just a couple of plays. This dude's getting like 8 yards a touch. Like I'm talking about like just gassing the defense. I'm like, but you want to throw the ball, and now Caleb's running around here, like you say, playing hero ball type stuff. And now you don't score. Now no time is run off the clock because you're throwing the ball too much, and the clock stops on the incomplete pass. At
3 and out.
And now you're 3 and out. Now your defense, regardless of how good they are, has to turn right back around and try to stop the other team's offense. That's not complimentary.
He did that all year.
Yeah. And I don't think he's gonna change that. That's why I don't think he's gonna change that.
Yeah, I don't.
And so here's what I would say. You're saying he could be good. Yeah, I don't know that it changes it either because of the fact that they went halfway. They didn't really change up the strength and conditioning. Stephen G was talking about that. They didn't change up strength and conditioning. They kept the yoga guy, and that's a problem. Again, we brought that up a minute ago. But here's the other thing. Look, the depth that they lost, the guys that they brought in the portal in the wintertime, they left after spring. What do you got there on that D line? Is Bear going to play 100 snaps a game? Because I don't think he is.
He can't.
Just another example of complementary football. And I know as fans, we always want the coach to go for it on 4th and short when they're at the 50 or something like that.
Yeah.
When they punt the ball and they're at the 50 and it's 4th and 1, That's complementary football. They're trying to back you up to give to make it harder on your offense, to make it easier on their defense. Because if they go for it there and they don't get it, now their defense is in a bad situation. And a lot of these coaches that don't have good defenses, and you're like, why we never have a good defense? That's why. Little things like that. It's not like you got to play complementary football. Like, and all the teams that have good defenses,
like Marshawn Lloyd that averaged 10.5 yards a carry and he gets 10 carries a game. That's insanity.
It was the first time he was 100% healthy since his freshman year, bro. And I was like, I cannot believe they're not giving this dude the ball.
PFF had him ranked number 1 for most of the year. Brooks caught him at one point before he got hurt. But he was ranked number 1 for most of the year without getting the football.
Like I say, eight yards a pop.
The conference they about to play in, they better find a running game very fast.
Hey, yeah,
right. Dog, you play against a Wisconsin. You play against a Wisconsin dog, and they hitting you in them trenches. And best believe Wisconsin, whether they're gaining yards or not, they running the ball 40 times a game.
Damn
right. They are running the ball 40 times.
Look at what Michigan did, and they ran through. You know how many times they threw the ball against Penn State? I won it like 3 times in the Penn State game. They threw
the second half
freaking times.
Right. That's what they're gonna do. So it doesn't matter how good your offense is. If they get the ball, they're not gonna let your offense on the field. They're just gonna run the ball, salt the clock away, and then next thing you know, you're gonna wonder why you're in a 10-10 game with Wisconsin. So Jason, he's got to figure that out. He's got to figure that out,
bro.
He does. Figure it. I'm about to Jason. I'm about to dip out, man. I had to go help.
I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying, though. You were talking about Domani. Yeah. You can say whatever you want about who was making mistakes, but they were playing for Alex Grinch. You know, you guys are talking about how shitty Alex Grinch is, and then you're talking shit about the players that left because they they had to deal with all that stuff, and then all of a sudden they're bad. But make sense.
That's a fact.
Coach, we appreciate you coming in.
Man, thank you, brother. I'll stay longer, brother, but I got some stuff I got to do right quick, man. Much love to you guys, and thank you for having me. You guys have an awesome you can find me at JMHO Sports Talk. That's on Twitter and YouTube. Just my humble opinion. JMHO Sports Talk on Twitter and JMHO Sports Talk on YouTube. You got a great panel here, man. You got some great fans in your comment section. Much love to you guys, and I'll be tapping back in with you, Jason, man. I thank you for having me, man.
Anytime, man. We'd love to have you anytime. Thanks for coming in. We
appreciate you guys, man.
All right, Coach. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Trojan Fight makes a good point. You talked about, I want to say he said Mason Cobb, the linebacker, not being able to tackle. This is the wrong Big Ten is the wrong conference to have linebackers that can't tackle.
Facts.
I don't care who the DC is.
He was making tackle. He would definitely overrun some, but that guy is one of the dudes that would go hit somebody.
But if he can't make tackles in a league that loves to run the ball, I think now, and we're talking about in the 2020s, I think Big Ten, they definitely run the ball way more than the SEC. Like as a whole. Like they are running that ball. So if your linebackers can't tackle, gonna be a long day. Not saying you're gonna lose all of them. I'm just saying that's gonna be a long day. You play a Nebraska, you play a Minnesota. Like, oh my God, like Minnesota and Wisconsin. Those
keep chopping. They always talk about keep chopping. Yep, keep chopping.
Like they are running the ball.
And Penn State's gonna continue doing that because they got Colton Nicky that came from Kansas. They run the hell out of the football. They love to run the ball.
And they got about to say they got 2 of the best in the nation. I would give it to them too.
Hell yeah. Why wouldn't you? You know,
they got it. So this new defensive staff at USC has to fix things like that. Like like Jason said, I don't know, as much as Jason and them about the strength and conditioning, but if it's not up to par, that's gonna be a problem. Again, these teams might not be good, but you can best believe those trenches. Them dudes are big country strong, like again, at the teams that you least at the Iowas and the teams that you least expected. Them dudes country strong in them trenches.
Mm-hmm. Well, I go back to last year whenever Tim Prangley was trying to tell me on the Voice of College Football that they were talking about that kid's stick. He's not a stick no more because they were getting bigger supposedly under Wiley. I heard the same shit coming out of that crew the other day, and I thought, yeah, we heard that last year too. Now, again, Maybe they are. Maybe they've got them doing a different program or whatever. But it takes more than just like one off season to get it all in line with your strength and conditioning. If you know what I mean, it's just going to take time. To me, that's the problem. And I don't know that. I think they could go with this schedule. You should be able to win 8, 9 games. I don't think that they necessarily will, but you should be able to. If they can turn it around, but that would require Lincoln to rely on some running backs. I don't know who they got at running back anymore. They don't got Marshawn anymore.
I agree. Keep chopping. Keep chopping says Iowa was pretty successful for having the worst offense. You know why? Because they play complementary football.
That's right.
When that defense gets a stop, they play that ugly offense and make you grind it out. Yeah, they won't score on you, but they'll hold the ball for about 8 minutes.
Absolutely.
Does it matter? Does it matter what they rank if they constantly are controlling the pace of the game? Coach, talk about how you did that whenever. I mean, look, you came to Hobbs, and that's what y'all did was run. You were a triple option type of run game.
Absolutely. I mean, that's
how many
what
times did you throw the ball in a game?
Oh, if we threw it 10 times in a game, that was a lot of a big time throwing game for us. We were going to line up and run the damn ball down your throat, and that's what we believed in, and it did not work for us.
Shorten the game, though.
We had to adjust.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even if you're not successful in the run, if you run the ball a lot, it shortens the game.
It does.
It shortens the game.
Yeah, they were 54th. They're running the ball. They still ran it more than everybody. And guess what? They won the national championship.
I think
you're giving us numbers that just don't mean shit.
Yeah. So
I just tell you guys, Lincoln is not going to change. He's gonna
have to.
He's not going to though. He's gonna do just like Dabo, just in a different area. But he is. I guarantee. You look at all those Leach disciples. They don't change, guys. That's what they were taught, and they believe it through and through. And they're going to win those games, win or lose those games, 50-45, 48-42. I mean. I don't.
But if you do that, how long does Danton Lynch hang around?
I don't think he does. That's why I had that question, because Coach hit the nail on the head. I mean, that was my whole point in asking that, is the complimentary side of the game, and Lincoln will not conform to that. He won't help his defense.
Let's see John's comment of watching Iowa football.
Give him a migraine.
Listen, man, I ain't gonna lie, dog. Like, I'm a college football through and through. I can watch some of the, teams that nobody talking about.
I like to watch ball too.
Listen, man, watching Iowa play, dog, it is tough.
Like watching paint dry. For real.
It is always tough. Doubt. I love college football, dog. It's tough. I don't care who they playing. But it works for them, and that's why Kirk Ferentz sticks to what he does.
Well, and that's the whole point. The reason that they're going to do it, though, is because, so once you get past Barry Alexander, and I'm sure they're going to coach up somebody, and they're going to have somebody, but if you are leaky along that defensive line, or say Bear got hurt, do you think they'll ever anybody puts the ball in the air? Probably not. Maybe Ohio State would, but you don't play them.
Yeah.
And you don't play Oregon either. So
I was about to say the two teams that will put it in the air,
you ain't got to deal with them.
Right.
So to me, I mean, and I'd be surprised if Brian Kelly doesn't just run it down your throat.
I was about to say, they got Judkins and Henderson, and he wants to run. Chip Kelly, at the end of the day, wants to run the ball. He likes to go fast.
Talking about Brian Kelly at the LSU.
Oh, Brian Kelly at LSU. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he wants to run the ball.
One of the best offensive lines. They got one of the best offensive lines in the country.
Right.
And they've got some kids that should be pretty good running the ball. That's one thing I think that they ought to do pretty well, right?
That's gonna be an interesting game. Kelly. That's gonna be an interesting game because LSU's defense was trash last year.
Yeah.
So it might turn into a shootout early. Neither team playing defense. Because I do believe Nuss Myers.
Well, and Nuss can throw. Nuss can throw it, and they've got a receiver factory down there. So I don't know who the guy is just yet, but they got somebody.
It don't matter. Somebody, whoever's lining up at receiver. That's all that you need to know about LSU.
Yeah. If Nuss doesn't make stupid mistakes throwing to the wrong places, he should be fine. But but that's the kind of game that Lincoln loves to play too. So you got a shot there. You got a shot.
I was about to say that might favor Lincoln. Actually, Lincoln likes shootouts.
Wait till Matt Rule gets you. Wait till you play Penn State. Wait till you play Michigan. Sharon Moore won't put it in the air. Watch him. He won't put it in the air.
Trojan fight down here in the Southeast. Yeah, LSU's 2023 defense does get talked about. Like
yes, it does. Yeah, it's historically bad for LSU.
That was the thing is, I would say this. I know USC gets really good players and has high recruiting classes, but as far as defensive talent, like LSU had no reason. They had talent all over the field, and they were, like you said, just as bad as USC, and that's why we were.
Easily as bad. It was why they fired the whole damn unit.
Right, the
whole unit.
They were historically bad, I think. Like, at least for LSU, they were like historically bad for LSU.
No, I've heard even Matt Moscano. I mean, he's been talking a lot of crazy stuff lately, but he's not wrong about that when they were historically bad.
And that's crazy because they went from like a pretty good defense to like all the way in the.
Well, yeah, what they did with what's the kid's name? That stud, man. They tried to make him a full-on linebacker.
Right. Instead of You're talking about that. Talking about the outside linebacker guy. He was literally the best outside linebacker. At least one of them.
All-American. He had like 12 sacks or some shit.
Right. And then he made him spy. He made him spy people. Right, he made him spy people. Yeah.
I'd have fired his ass too. Get out of here. I would have fired him before the season was over.
His name is Harold Perkins.
Harold Perkins, correct.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the best outside linebackers in the nation. And instead of sending him, letting him do what he does best, contain the run and go after the quarterback, they was putting him in coverage and just playing kind of like hold up. Basically, he was a pawn in the chess game. They wasn't using him like he should have been.
No doubt. I'm surprised he hung around. How did they get him to stay?
Dog, it's LSU, dog.
But they don't buy players. They don't buy players, is what BK said. They don't buy players. They buy women's basketball players, but they don't buy football players. Now, come on.
Stay tuned.
Fact.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm gonna have to get up out of here, Jason. Man, I've been going for about 2 hours, man. I'm about to get up out of here.
We're about to bounce anyway too, but hey, let everybody know. Hey, Coach, we need to actually talk, Coach so about a couple of things. Right. Me and Shotty were talking about a little bit, so we'll jump on, or I'll give you a holler or something a little bit later.
All right, man. Y'all can find me on the Fan Addict Sports, man. Fan Addict Sports. You put the handle up there, they can see that, and then that's on Twitter, IG, YouTube, Facebook, all of that. This Saturday, man, I just released a Clemson preview video. I got my ACC previews coming out this week and next week because this Saturday we're doing the first Saturday Night Snap Count Season 3, and I got all my guys coming with me.
You got your promo handy?
Man, I might have something for you. Hold on here.
I'll drop it in there either way into the.
Yeah.
Folks, we've already had like over 500 views and we got 37 likes in here. Come on now.
All right. Saturday Night Snap Count. Man, I got my stuff organized. Videos.
I already knew.
What I'm saying? Hey, but this is the thing. You'll get to see the rest of the intro. You'll get to see the rest of the intro on Saturday. It's more to it.
Yeah.
All right, it's up there. Make sure y'all tune in. Saturday Night Snap Count is our Saturday college football wrap-up show that we do during the season every Saturday. But we will be starting early this year to preview each and every conference. The ACC is on deck this Saturday, man. So y'all make sure y'all tune in 9:00 live. Bring all the comments and everything. Trojan Fight, I've actually enjoyed you today, man. I appreciate you coming in. Come on over to the Fan Addict Sports, man. Right, come on over to Fan Addict Sports, man. We welcome all comers, dog. So But yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on tonight, Jason.
Hey, man, anytime. You already know, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Coach I.
Can't wait for Saturday. Can't wait for Saturday.
Hit me up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, hey, and honestly, guys, look, we love doing this show, and we love going back and forth with you guys. But we're gonna go back and forth with you. And you bring stuff up that's silly talk, we're gonna call it what it is, which is silly talk. So, in the end, that's just kind of how it is. But look, to be honest with you guys, I mean, I think they have the right guys on the defensive side. But as an Oklahoma fan, all these guys that are saying the stuff that they're saying in there, we've seen this. We've seen this movie before. We know what he's about. He talks about, everything we're going to do is going to be about the defense. You know what? We still haven't seen that yet. Now, could they be better with? It's hard to believe that you would be better without Caleb Williams, except for the fact that if Miller Moss isn't as dynamic and we know he's not, then, maybe you use more. One thing that Lincoln always did very well, and this is something that Coach Stoops made him do, was run the damn ball. So he learned to run the ball out of, that air raid and run downhill, because you had guys like P. Ryan and Mixon and you needed to use those cats. And it slows the game down. In the Big Ten, you're going to have to do that. You're just going to have to do it.
Key word you said there, though. He was made to do it. It wasn't what he wanted to do.
But even it felt like to me, last year was the first time that I saw that he had a really explosive running back that he didn't use, because he knew when to run the ball at Oklahoma. All the time, even after Stoops was gone, there was really never a time that we felt. I think it was something that he kind of learned and moved forward. But to me, they were so caught up in Caleb winning a second Heisman that he just it was counterintuitive is what it was, because you had him running around for his life all game. Never seemed to give him those easy throws. You've got those quick slants that after that third step, the ball's got to be coming out. You do that, he probably does go on and be a lot better, right?
It was great to see what Notre Dame did to him and kept him definitely out of the Heisman race. I couldn't have been happier.
Well, and that's the other thing, though. But this is what you see coming out of it. We're not just trying to kill just on Lincoln. I mean, obviously the show was about look, if you can Trojan fight, and I'll just say this to you, you're welcome to in here anytime, but we don't bullshit or sugarcoat nothing. And I'm going to tell you this. If you can look at all of these things that we've talked about, all these things tonight, and you've had an excuse, you're talking about national narratives now and this and that and this and that. Everybody that's saying all this different stuff, and you're just going to continue to sit here and tell us how untrue it is? 7-5 with the Heisman Trophy winner. You don't have some belief in it? That maybe.
Yeah, hell, I challenge you, make it untrue. Prove it up, because it's the same old, like you said, Jason. It's the same old story.
Look, I'm going to say, you said he was good, but he didn't have good games against them. He didn't get the freaking football. He literally, I looked it up this last year. I'm going to look it up again just to show you. Unbelievable. Last year in the oh, wow. So it was the first time he was fully healthy. He had more runs as a sophomore, or he had the same amount. He averaged in 11 games, it was 10 freaking carries a game. He only had 116 carries in 11 games. How can you average 7 yards a carry? Averaged 8 yards from scrimmage, touching the ball, and he didn't get the football. What are we even talking about? You have to, you can say bad things about him. It's always these players. You were talking about Damani Jackson. He's trash. It wasn't the coaching there either. You talked about Michael Tarquin. He's trash. Good luck with that. It wasn't the fact that he lost 20 pounds when he got to SC off of his Florida weight. Make it make sense, bro. At some point, you gotta be. I mean, when are we gonna put it on Lincoln? I mean, I don't care. Keep him forever. Keep him forever.
Please. And Trojan Fight, I'll say this: I couldn't agree with your statement more. That LSU defense sucks too, and that's just not talked about near as much.
I don't know that. Hey, wait, they won 10 games. They won 10 games with the shitty defense. You won 7.
Yeah.
They had the Heisman Trophy winner and won 10 games. You won 7. I mean, there's a difference. When you won 11 the year before and you won 7, it's easy to just blame it on the defense. And the defense was definitely part of the problem. But tell me why Colorado was ever in that game. Because Marshawn Lloyd didn't get the ball. They were up how much in the end of the half or at the end of the third quarter? It was like up 21, and they damn near lost it.
Should have.
I mean, the bottom line is you have to know. Hey, thanks, man. We appreciate you guys. You have to know that this is the whole thing, and I've talked about this a bunch with these guys. I think that they have the right dudes on the defensive side of the ball now. I don't believe in your strength and conditioning guy, even a little bit. And until I see Lincoln play complementary football, like Coach said, Coach I said it, Coach Roybal said it, until we see that, we can't rightly sit here and tell you that he's going to, because I haven't ever seen it before. And they're smaller. I'm just saying. That's what the difference is going to be. And it almost, there's times that I've felt bad for Lincoln. The slimy shit that he did makes it hard to care. But when Coach Leach died, and after the way he left Oklahoma, and now who's going to mentor this kid? Who's going to mentor him? He doesn't have any of those guys anymore. You know what? What's his name? Who was the old defensive coach? You know who I'm talking about. He became DC when they fired Stoops for a minute. It was somebody tell me in there. What are we talking about, dude?
I know you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, all I'm saying is at some point you have to. Ruffin McNeil is who we're talking about. But Ruffin was never at a big time school, and to be able to, like, how to deal with a blue blood. I was saying this to Ty earlier. I wish he would have came on because I wanted to continue this conversation. This is what we're going to end it on. Coach, I want to listen to what I had to say.
Okay.
Talking about Lincoln. And to me, he has taken now to 2 blue blood programs. He has turned them into freaking Texas Tech. He has inserted Taco Tech DNA into Oklahoma and now into USC.
Actually, it's Mule Shoe Mule DNA.
Whatever. I mean, the dude to me, he'll always be the Texas Tech coach. Or somebody said ECU a few minutes ago. That's who he is.
Yeah. Sure.
Or a coordinator. Just like Cliff had freaking Cliff had Mahomes and Baker and never won more than 7 games at Tech.
What tree? What tree did he come from?
Leach. And I love Mike Leach. I love Mike Leach.
I'm a huge Mike Leach fan.
But Mike Leach didn't give 2 shits about defense either.
No, he didn't.
It never worked.
You know what? I will say this about Mike Leach, though. He would run the ball more than I see some of these other guys running it.
Mm-hmm.
And not even with great backs, but he would still run it more.
Well, I don't know, man. I heard him say that Lincoln ran it too much when he became head coach. He was like, he runs it too much for it to be the air raid.
Sure.
That they had Bear and Batch. I remember whenever I went to Midland from Hobbs, I was covering them out of Midland, and that's when I was really covering them more. On a regular basis. They had that kid out of Midland, and he was a stud. He ended up playing for the Patriots for a little while. The reason was because he'd catch the ball out of the backfield. You had to be that guy if you played
there you go. Yeah.
But that was the other thing, is that he would use those short passes to the running backs as his running game a lot. I mean, some coaches can do that and get away with it. But
yes,
if he was a master. When you ever get a 3 and out, it's going to be bad, because if you get 3 and out on incomplete passes, you might have ran off 11 seconds off the clock.
Yeah.
It's just bad.
Yeah.
Tortilla Tech. Yeah. Hey, man, Taco Tech DNA, man. And he's inserting it on the West Coast now. And, I mean, you guys have heard Coop say that about what Oklahoma was while he was there. He said it turned into Texas Tech North. He's not wrong. And just to be fair, we didn't want to hear the shit either. I'm just going to say it. I get it why y'all don't want to hear it. When you tape it and glue it all back together, because you went to the playoffs all those times, you talk about that. They went to the playoffs all those. You know what? You want to know why? Texas was a dumpster fire all during that time. Nebraska, gone. Colorado, gone. Missouri, gone. A&M, gone. When Baylor is the team that is the next best team in the league, because after Schneider left, it took a while to get it back together at K-State. They're definitely the cream of that conference now. I guess you can say Oklahoma State, but I wouldn't.
No.
I won't. Again, look, there was he fell under the perfect storm of them to win 6 in a row. They won one of them with Stoops, and then he won the next 5. But because the competition wasn't that good, Rule beat him every once, and Matt Rule was a good enough coach that Baylor could do it every once in a while.
Yep.
Dave Aranda figured his ass out like that. After that first half of that, he's lucky they were up so big after the first half of that first year that Aranda got there, because he never scored on them again after that, really. The next year, what did they put up? Like 8 points, 10 points, something like that. It was something stupid. It was ugly. He got Caleb killed in that game, the whole game. Because Aranda knew how to, they put that, and they had a nice little defense.
Yep.
It went downhill after that. I don't know why he's still there either, but I like Dave Aranda as a defensive coordinator. I don't like him as a head coach. Same thing with Lincoln on that. If you don't evolve, you die. Same with Dabo. We were talking about that earlier. You evolve or die.
Absolutely.
All right. Folks, we appreciate everybody coming in. If you have not jumped into our official merch store, we had to redo a lot of it, so I hadn't gotten everything up there just yet. I got to get coaches. I got to get coaches. I don't give a shit T-shirt back up there. But look, you've got the 4 Pete stuff that we did. I did a couple of designs there for the hats and shirts, and always the horns down stuff as always. And then you have that QR code you see on that red shirt above me. That's a little message for all you Texas fans. I hadn't made one for anybody else, just the Texas fans so far. But yeah, we're gonna do some that kind of stuff. And so yeah, get in there and check that stuff out as well. Had a few other ones that I made today. Oklahoma versus the world. We're talking about maybe doing that competitive depth thing. That's the other thing that really has to happen with any football program for you to win a natty. You got to be good in your second and third units as well. So, but we've always had the drinking game on saying that word. So drinks up. But yeah, get in there and check out some of that stuff, man. It's good stuff. We appreciate everybody coming in. If you hadn't already hit that like button, I know we've been busting chops. hit the like button anyway. All right, please do. But we definitely
hit the dislike
or that too. Yeah, you can do that too if you want to. We appreciate it either way. Jump in if you. Hey, look, great time to try Mint Mobile. TryMintMobile.com/HOF. 3 months, $45, unlimited talk, text, and data on the nation's largest 5G network. And you can try it out at the same time. You do not have to get rid of your service that you already have. Test it out. Make sure you think it's going to work for you. $15 a month, it's way worth it. I switched over completely from Verizon. I had no hiccups whatsoever. I'm saving $1,600 this year because I have 2 phones. Unlimited talk, text, and data. You know, it's great deal. Get in there and check that out. You can also check out our Mailreg Performance Golf Apparel store, mailreg.com/JW_HOF. Again, hit the like button, and that's the free way to support the show. Make sure you jump out there, and I'll make sure we're going to be promoting it as well. Saturday night snap count on Saturday. We're going to preview some different stuff. So we'll be talking to Coach I about that. We'll be throwing those previews out, but make sure you check us out on Saturday night snap count. Saturday night, I think he said it was 9:30 Eastern time. I want to make sure on that, but I believe that's the case. I'll make sure. I'll make sure, and we'll make sure to post it on Twitter. You can always find me at JW_HOF there. And hey, man, the rest of it we'll see you on the next one. Okay.
Later, guys. Appreciate y'all.